There is no Epstein list. Jeffrey Epstein took his own life in his jail cell while awaiting trial. No other high-profile people are going to be charged in connection with any of Epstein's crimes, and no further disclosure would be appropriate or warranted. And that's the end of it. That's the final word in this memo from the Trump administration's Department of Justice and FBI, which was just released yesterday. Oh, and they also released this footage of the outside of Epstein's jail cell. But instead of closing the book on the Epstein case, what just happened only raises more questions. So here's what's going on. The Department of Justice and the FBI just released this short page-and-a-half memo along with video of outside of Jeffrey Epstein's cell. And if you want to read this memo and you want to see this video for yourself, I'm going to email the documents out to you in my FaxHQ email tonight. So make sure you sign yourself up. According to the memo, the FBI and the DOJ are re-releasing the video that we've seen before, except now they have enhanced it. They've balanced the color and improved the sharpness so you can have greater clarity and viewability. The video is being released again to show that no one could have entered Jeffrey Epstein's cell after he was locked in about 10:40 p.m. on August 9th of 2019. This memo says the Trump administration has conducted an exhaustive review of the investigative holdings related to Jeffrey Epstein. They have found the same thing that officials in New York and the Biden administration found back in 2023. Nothing to see here. And the Trump DOJ and FBI said, consistent with prior disclosures, Epstein harmed more than 1,000 victims. The only documents that have not been disclosed to the public are being withheld to protect the victims. The FBI says those documents did not expose any additional third parties to allegations of illegal wrongdoing. The FBI memo goes on to say their systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. There was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. So if that's true, then why did Attorney General Pam Bondi bring a bunch of influencers over to the White House and give them huge binders of so-called Epstein documents to only have to later reveal that there was nothing new in those binders and then have to try and clean it up by going on Fox News in late February and claiming that the Epstein list was on her desk to review? Fox News' White House reporter asked the White House press secretary today to try and clean that up.
So what happened to the Epstein?
Say what you want.
That the Attorney General said she had on her desk.
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview with the Fox News, go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation going on right now called Summer Heat, which has our murder rate trending in the lowest direction in United States history. Their emphasis on violent crime and locking up violent criminals has led to the arrest of 14,000 violent criminals. That's a 62% increase from the same time period last year. So this Attorney General and the FBI Director are committed to putting bad people behind bars where they belong. That they promised an exhaustive review. That's what they did. For any further details, I would refer you to the Department of Justice.
You can decide for yourself if you think that's a good answer or a bad answer or an answer at all. Obviously, this memo is raising a lot of questions, but also raising questions is that video that was included with the memo. Again, DOJ and the FBI say it proves that no one went into Epstein's cell at the SHU in New York after he was locked in on August 9th of 2019. They re-released the same video that we've seen, but just like before, if you watch closely, a full minute is missing from that video. Watch as the timestamp jumps from 11:58 and 58 seconds to 12 a.m. and 1 second. What happened at 11:59 p.m.? That has still not been cleared up.
Sure, if I
could I just interrupt?
Sure. If Jeffrey Epstein didn't have a clients list, then explain to me how JP Morgan Chase paid out $290 million to the victims and millions more to the Virgin Islands. Banks don't shell out that kind of money without a paper trail. So who were they protecting? And then there's this. The Department of Justice swore under oath that they seized over 30 hard drives, dozens of photographs, CDs, and tapes from Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan apartment. Now, these were not vacation photos. No, this was material. This was people that were filmed and photographed with underage girls, children. This was blackmail material. Ghislaine Maxwell's rotting in prison right now. And they're telling us that there's no there. Well, what is she in jail for, right? Who was doing the perversion? Who were the people, these deviants? They know who they are. And do they just want us to believe that maybe it's just too sensitive? Maybe it's to protect? Maybe it's too dangerous? To protect who? Dangerous for who? Suddenly they want us to believe that Jeffrey Epstein was just a pervert with a mansion, right? Just a wealthy deviant. No, I think this guy had deep ties to foreign governments, to intelligence agencies, and God knows what else. This is not going away. This is not being swept under the rug. This is a bipartisan issue for all Americans. They are protecting some very powerful people. But you know what? You and I would never get away with such things. We are held to a completely different standard. And those victims had names. And you better believe those predators have names too. And we all want them.
I have to tell y'all something that most of y'all will never hear. Remember when Virginia Giuffre allegedly took her own life? Well, prior to that, she sent 4 tapes to a journalist that she could trust that said still believed in the truth. They arrived in an unaddressed manila envelope. And in one of the tapes, the 4th tape, she says, Jeffrey was never supposed to die. That was not him in that cell. They willed out Hillary Rodham Clinton's brother, Tony Rodham. If you look up the photos, they're almost identical if you put them side by side. He was led out the back door of the jail, put in a government van, driven to the New Jersey airport, and flown to Israel. Why? Because that's who he was doing work for political elites who blackmailed American politicians and elitists to get what they want in politics. Who was she prior to this? Well, she was a locker room attendant at Mar-a-Lago at one point and was recruited by Ghislaine Maxwell, and she spent a lot of time not only whistleblowing, but advocating for sexual abuse victims. She ended up allegedly offing herself a few days after the tape was made. She said, if anything happens to me, here's this recording. I have to tell y'all something that most of y'all will never hear.
Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi, in fact, not only said there was a Jeffrey Epstein client list that Trump had ordered her to review and release to the American people. She not only said there was a Jeffrey Epstein client list, she said that she had it in her possession on her desk.
One of the things that you alluded to, and this is something Donald Trump has talked about, the DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
Oh, yes, it was a directive of the president. The Epstein client list is sitting on my desk right now, says Donald Trump's hand-picked attorney general. New statement today from her department, the U.S. Department of Justice, says there is no Epstein client list. The systematic review revealed no incriminating client list, according to today's DOJ memo. These guys have been hyping the whole Epstein conspiracy theory for years. I mean, this is the guy who Donald Trump appointed to be deputy director of the FBI.
I've already told you the Epstein story. Let's just say a friend who knows about something, if you've heard the story, was on the plane with Clinton with the Epstein thing, and he said, I'm out of here, Daddy-O. I told that story quite a few times, so I know a lot about this story. There are a lot of people who know old Jeff. A lot of people. So it's kind of weird, like this client list is about to come out. Everybody got quiet all of a sudden.
I know a lot about this story. Says the podcaster who Trump named to be deputy director of the FBI. Now today, knock, 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 FBI, what's up with that? Today, according to the FBI and the Justice Department, there's nothing at all to this Jeffrey Epstein story. Please stop talking about it. There will be no further information released. Client list, what client list? Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi, in fact, not only said there was a Jeffrey Epstein client list that Trump had ordered her to review and release to the American people.
Caroline, the DOJ and FBI have now concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. What do you tell MAGA supporters who say they want anyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes to be held accountable?
This administration wants anyone who has ever committed a crime to be held accountable, and I would argue this administration has done more to lock up bad guys than certainly the previous administration. And the Trump administration is committed to truth and to transparency. That's why the Attorney General and the FBI Director pledged at the President's direction to do an exhaustive review of all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and his death. And they put out a memo in conclusion of that review. There was material they did not release because, frankly, it was incredibly graphic and it contained child pornography, which is not something that's appropriate for public consumption. But they committed to an exhaustive investigation. That's what they did, and they provided the results of that. That's transparency.
Follow up on that,
Sure.
Caroline. Okay, so the FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox
I've
News.
got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation going on right now called Summer Heat, which has our murder rate trending in the lowest direction in United States history. Their emphasis on violent crime and locking up violent criminals has led to the arrest of 14,000 violent criminals. That's a 62% increase from the same time period last year. So this Attorney General and the FBI Director are committed to putting bad people behind bars where they belong. That they promised an exhaustive review. That's what they did. For any further details, I would refer you to the Department of Justice. Okay.
Caroline, the DOJ and FBI have now concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. What do you tell MAGA supporters who say they want anyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes to be held accountable?
This administration wants anyone who has ever committed a crime to be held accountable. And I would argue this administration has done more to lock up bad guys than certainly the previous administration. And the Trump administration...
Jeffrey Epstein's final text message has been revealed, and it's quite haunting. Author Michael Wolff texted the sex criminal hours before he died, asking Epstein how he was, and he responded with just 3 words, still hanging around. He was found hanging in a cell later that day. Jeffrey Epstein's final text message has been revealed, and it's quite haunting. Author Michael Wolff texted the sex...
So it was reported a couple of days ago by Axios that the Department of Justice had officially concluded that Jeffrey Epstein had... There was no client list, rather, of him using to blackmail anybody, and there was no further evidence that he had blackmailed anyone. I'm not buying it. Number one, it contradicts what the Attorney General said in February, where she was specifically asked if she had Jeffrey Epstein's client list, and she said it is on my desk waiting for review.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that.
And she's kind of sidetracked on that and equivocated about it and just claims, well, what I meant was it was part of the file, but it looks horrible. The look is horrible. I'm going to do several videos on this, and so I'm going to start with the death of Epstein and whether or not it was a self-inflicted death. So it was reported a couple of days ago by Axios that the Department of Justice had
Jeffrey Epstein has no client list, but I ran an escort agency for 5 years. During one of those years, I actually kept track of my clients, and my list is over 10,000 names. When I was arrested, the prosecutors wanted my list. I told them they could have it if they went after the men the same way they went after me, which was to take all of their money and arrest them by an armed SWAT team. And guess what? They didn't want my list. They just wanted to cover up who was on there so it never got out to the public. The same way with Jeffrey Epstein's list. We will never know who's on there. It's a cover-up.
How is MAGA responding to Trump saying that the Epstein client list never existed? Well, see for yourself.
I'm a Trump supporter, and I'm going to tell you this right now. If this is the verdict, there's no Epstein client list. If we don't get accountability for the thousands of victims that were abused, then I'm jumping ship. And all of you should as well.
This is all going in the trash. I do not support Trump anymore. He's a liar. He's a part of the deep state. I do not support Israel. I will not be supporting him anymore. He's part of the deep state.
The whole thing that this tape shows he didn't kill himself is like a joke. But worse than that, it's a joke that we all get. Like, they're not fooling anybody. So I feel like we're at a dangerous point now.
So now, by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just, you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office. I'm going to go throw up, actually. And this only happens every few years when something really, really bad happens or something. I mean, I'm physically going to puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now. Because I have integrity.
So this message goes out to Donald Trump and his people. I've been asked before, what would it take for you to not support Donald Trump anymore? I always said, well, it'd take a lot. I've literally made thousands of videos on this app supporting you, sir. So if you're deciding that Epstein is the bridge that you're going to burn, I got the match, sir. You're telling me there's no list after you told me there was a list. You're telling me that you don't care about these victims. This is a promise you made to the American people, sir. Non-negotiable. You've always been in tune with your supporters. Always. 100% spot on. Not this time, sir. You missed this one.
I voted for Donald Trump in 2016, 2020, and 2024. I am prepared to die on this hill. If Donald Trump is part of the Epstein list and why he has decided to pretend like doesn't exist anymore, then the war that I've been waging on liberals, I plan to wage on Donald Trump if he cannot explain or make sense of this soon, pointing to that he is implicated.
So I voted for Trump, and this Epstein thing is just insane. But I think it's showing us one thing, and that's our country is unified for the first time in a long time. And I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican, we all know this administration is guilty. So
How is MAGA responding to Trump saying that the Epstein client list
This week, the Department of Justice released a widely anticipated memo detailing the findings of Jeffrey Epstein's 2019 death in a New York City prison. The report ruled out any foul play, confirming Epstein died by suicide, and found no evidence that he kept a client list to incriminate those involved in his sex trafficking ring. Now, some of President Trump's far-right allies are frustrated that the administration appears to be ready to move on from the Epstein investigation. John Yang has more. John?
The Trump administration officials had promised to reveal what many of his conspiracy-minded supporters said was the truth about Epstein's death, that he was murdered so he wouldn't implicate powerful people at his trial. Another example, they said, of the corrupt deep state.
Let's touch on the Jeffrey Epstein situation. This video is for educational purposes only. Well, talk about piss on us and call it rain. Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi, and Cash. What are we going to do with you? You pretty much got where you are by saying you were going to release the files. You pretty much got where you are by convincing the American people there was going to be transparency. Now, Cash, you look fucking terrified in the last few interviews you did. Your eyes are bugging out your damn head. Pam Bondi, you just seem like the arrogant, smug little Barbie doll that you've always been. And Bongino, I haven't trusted you for a goddamn minute. But Donald Trump, I expected better from you. I voted for you 3 times. You promised, you promised, you promised. Now you're not delivering. And it's kind of a big deal. We went from, I have the list on my desk, to, I've seen the videos, and they're disgusting. They show Epstein, to now it's, the list never existed. There was no list. There was no blackmail. And all those videos were just videos he downloaded. If anything is going to cost the Republicans the midterm election, this is it. And it's almost as if it's purposeful savagery. This way the 2 wings of the same fucking bird keep flapping. Really, it's kind of insulting the American people's intelligence, which with our current education system still isn't a high bar to meet, but I mean, it's above room temperature. You'd have to be Helen fucking Keller to not see that this is bullshit. And you have Ghislaine Maxwell sitting in prison for trafficking nobody to nobody. Explain that one. I am a diehard conservative. I am a Trump supporter, but I'm also not a goddamn hypocrite. I'm going to call bullshit when I see bullshit. And Mr. Trump, you better have a damn good reason for selling us bullshit. You can't just run on, I'm going to expose all of this. You can't just run on, I'm going to open the doors to the black book. And then, or not, or you just, it doesn't mean we, the American people, don't have a right to know it. If we want this republic to live another 250 years, it's going to take true honesty and true transparency, which is going to be some really scary shit. We know Israel was involved in 9/11. We know Saudi Arabia was involved in 9/11. We know that Mossad and Jeffrey Epstein and Israel and all that, it was all an intelligence operation and blackmail operation. These are things we know. And now you're given the opportunity to connect the dots, expose the pedophiles, and put them to justice. And you're passing on that torch? Why? You better have a damn good reason. And I hope it has nothing to do with you being on that island. Because if that's the case, we've all been bamboozled. And if that's the case, the American people ain't going to be too fucking happy with you, myself included. So my message to Donald Trump and the FBI and CIA and AG is very simple. You ran on this. You built your support and following on this. And now you're going to let it go. Don't piss on us and call it rain, and then expect us to keep trusting you. The fact that you're putting more effort into protecting the perpetrators than you are to make sure the victims see justice is disgusting to me, Mr. President. And I'm pretty sure I speak for a majority of the American people right now who say that. Yes, I voted for you, but I'm not a brain-dead lemming who's going to follow you off the cliff. And I don't.
This only for entertainment purposes only. This is jokes. Ha ha. I know a lot of people pissed off about the Epstein file. I am too, because that is something that was promised to us. Let's be honest. We know the reason why they don't want to drop them files. It's because a Pacquiao will go down. A Pacquiao. Think about what I'm saying. B2B's friends. B2B's people. You know? People that was climbing up out of the sewers and the underground tunnels in New York. Remember? Those guys. Little hat fellas. Freaky Dicky Dims. Y'all know. Hot dog and pizza parties. Come on. I ain't talking about Chuck E. Cheese. You understand that the whole political scale of America will be in the shitter. It's already there. It will be in the shitter, the outhouse shitter, the shitter that is in the ground. It won't even be a porcelain bowl. It's way too many politicians over there. Way too many famous people, like celebrity, athlete, philanthropists, writers, designers. That was a worldwide freak off. It was. I mean, come on now. Y'all got to look at the fact that every time it's some freaky shit that come out about a politician, who is always the politician? It's never the left. Somehow, some way, whenever some freaky shit come out about them, do they or do they not find some way to scrape that shit off the internet? When it comes to a freaky deaky motherfucker on the right, you better know that shit gonna come out. That shit may follow you for 20, 40, 50 years. The person may not even still be alive. You're gonna find some way of making sure that shit comes out and it exploited. Trust and believe the reason why that list ain't came out is because it's some people that we see on a regular basis every single day on these news channels, on these stages, pouring and cutting the rug and singing all their little lullabies to you. Their asses was on that damn flight too. A lot of them was also on stage with Miss Harris. Sure was. Bondi has been compromised. She probably got all kinds of death threats about that list. You know who the fuck was on that list. They could sit here and keep playing all day with that highly redacted ass script that they gave us with all of those names and everything. Like, we could barely even read it. Why would you even release that? Why would you even release that to us? Yeah, they played us on that list. We on God's time now. Needs to just keep doing what's right, keep telling the truth and shaming the devil, because it's gonna always come out in the wash. I promise you, it's gonna come out in the.
Would you raise your right hand, please?
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, I do.
Is it true, sir, that you have what's been described as an egg-shaped peanut? I had hired psychologists to do a psychological profile on Jeffrey Epstein, what type of person he was, and what would actually get under his skin. What made him tick was that he was a narcissist. He had no ability to feel empathy and saw himself as the master of puppets, so to speak. Sir, one witness described your penis oval-shaped and claimed when erect it was thick towards the bottom but was thin and small towards the head portion and called it egg-shaped. Those are not my words, I apologize. But as Mr. Critton has stated, that this is a... I'm willing to continue. I hate to call him back. Let me go on. He tries at all times to be the master of his domain and in control of his world. As soon as he feels he's out of control, it's unsettling to him.
Complaint filed by Virginia Roberts against you. Isn't it true, sir, that a friend of yours sent you 3 12-year-old females for you to sexually abuse on one of your birthdays?
Form argumentative, harassing, and irrelevant to this lawsuit.
But could you...
When did you last speak to him?
I believe that I got the last message from him before he died.
Michael, very good to see you. You posted...
Okay, here's why this Jeffrey Epstein stuff became such a scandal this week. The scandal is, there is no scandal. Some people thought the Trump administration was gonna be the one to expose everything, and then just said, yeah, Jeffrey Epstein had no client list, he really did just happen to die in jail. So now the people are upset. Jeffrey Epstein, may he rest where he belongs, was an extremely rich man connected to a lot of rich and powerful people. Former and current presidents, both parties, Hollywood stars, a prince, and he's also a known predator and abuser of underage girls. He had a whole island where he's said to have taken them. It's actually very sick. So since he was so chummy with all these rich and powerful people, a lot of people have been wondering who all else went to that island with him. And when he went to jail the second time, a lot of people were thinking, okay, this is it. It's all gonna come out in court. But then he allegedly took himself out in the jail cell. Wasn't even supposed to be possible. Case shut down, no names dropped. It's been a mystery ever since. Especially because there was a minute missing from the surveillance video of his cell on the day he passed. So people started wondering, did he find a way to disappear himself so nobody would know who was on that client list? Some people thought somebody that rich and powerful could probably pull it off. And all those potential clients would obviously also want him to. So Trump said on the campaign trail, hey, if you elect me, I'll release that client list. His supporters were pumped, like, yeah, expose everybody. February, Fox News said that Pam Bondi, the attorney general, said, yeah, the client list is sitting on my desk. Then a bunch of influencers got to go to the White House, and she gave them all binders called the Epstein Files Phase 1. It was a big deal. The president was there, the FBI director, the vice president, it was a whole thing. But then there really wasn't anything in it that people didn't already know. Pam was like, hey, I didn't get the information that I asked for, but it's coming. So then, remember a couple of weeks ago when Elon Musk and the president got into that whole bestie breakup? Elon said, you know the real reason why those Epstein files haven't been released yet? Because the president is in them. Bloop. And then he deleted it and he apologized and he said he went too far. Okay, so after all of that, yeah, the Justice Department said no, there is no client list and he just took himself out like everybody thought he did. So that's why some people are like, okay, is he now involved in a cover-up? This was supposed to be exposing Democrats. There's really no need to lie for them. Elon Musk is at home sipping tea, posting a bunch of time like, it's still nobody's been arrested a clock. So a reporter asked the president to his face to explain what's going on with all this, and the president said, you guys are still on this? The rest of his response and what Pam Bondi had to say for herself, including details about that missing minute, are on my page. Please let me know what you guys think about this, because this has been a saga for years, and I just did not expect this. I really thought they were about to expose some people. But hey, now we know, mystery solved, no client list. He just decided to take himself out instead of using all that information and get a plea deal. Now, if you're still totally lost, there are documentaries about all of this on Netflix and other places. So go watch that and then come back to this video. Like these updates.
So I went back down that Jeffrey Epstein rabbit hole, and I'm taking y'all with me. Due to the fact that they said Jeffrey Epstein never had a client list, that shit kind of don't make no sense. Actually, it seems like they're covering up something. Matter of fact, look at this shit. Look at this shit right here.
Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book.
FBI.
Wow.
But who? That is, I mean,
Well, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI. Just like the manifesto from the Nashville school shooting of the Catholic schools. We still haven't seen that, right? It's not the Nashville police or PD saying we don't want this out. The FBI airmailed into that operation.
Oh, really? And it's kind of crazy that they're changing their tune right now. So now you got to ask yourself, what are they hiding? Because something has to be hidden. Look at this shit right here.
What did you think before you got into office? Did you think that Epstein was murdered?
No. When you're in that kind of confinement, we call it solitary confinement, you're not supposed to have these things that you are able to hang yourself with.
I also took a look at that video that they put out to show proof that Jeffrey Epstein indeed was in his cell and nobody went in there and he did whatever he did to himself. And if you jump down that rabbit hole, you'll see that there's a time change in that video. So the time goes from 11:58 point something right to 12 a.m. What happened to that minute that was gone? Now, I'm not saying that they did anything. All I'm saying is, go check that out. Then, jump down the Ghislaine Maxwell rabbit hole. I mean, she was sentenced to 20 years in prison for, quote-unquote, conspiring with Jeffrey Epstein. Ghislaine Maxwell, she was his girlfriend. She turned into the matter, allegedly. If there wasn't a client list, why did she get 20 years? If there wasn't a client list, who were they servicing? But I'm guessing there's no evidence. There is no evidence to say that it was a black book. There's no evidence of anybody doing anything, and Jeffrey just took his life. But let's just continue to play blind. I'm out. So I went back down that Jeffrey Epstein rabbit hole, and I'm taking y'all with me. Due to the fact that they said Jeffrey Epstein never had a client,
I think the public will be rightly frustrated if no one is prosecuted for the Epstein client. There's no one at all, which, no one, like at least, I don't know, the top 5 or something, like some number. There should at least be an attempted prosecution of the worst offenders.
Well, particularly if Ghislaine Maxwell is in jail for sex trafficking.
Yes.
Because,
that means sex trafficking occurred.
Right. So she's in jail for it.
Yes.
So,
who were the clients?
Yeah. Yeah, how do you put someone in jail and you don't even name the clients? That sounds kind of insane.
I think, yes, it would. Yes.
It's just stunning that they've been able to hold it back for so long. It's really kind of amazing.
Yes.
Like when people say that people can't keep secrets, what the fuck are you talking about? Look at this.
Yeah, I mean, a bunch of these things are not like it's common knowledge, but we don't actually have the proof.
Right.
So the proof is there. I mean, there's lots of videos. Yeah, there's lots. I mean, the dude is like a mountain of whenever they raided Epstein's place, there would have been like a mountain of evidence. Where is that mountain?
Right. What'd you do with it?
Yeah. Like who took possession of the evidence?
Yeah.
Specifically.
Right.
The individuals.
Where are the tapes?
Yeah. I think the public will be rightly frustrated if there is.
So that was Elon talking.
I talked to President Trump man to man, eye to eye, on St. Patrick's Day about this and the Kennedy files and the King files. It was all one conversation. And he said, and I agree, there are a lot of names associated with Epstein that had nothing to do with Epstein's conduct. They maybe had lunch with him or maybe had some correspondence for one thing or another. If that name gets out, those people are destroyed. Because there's not going to be any context. Media doesn't care about context. So you can't do that. You can't destroy human beings by putting out the files, whatever they may be. But you certainly can have.
One of the president's most strident supporters are furious at his Department of Justice after concluded there would be no further disclosures of Jeffrey Epstein-related documents, and that, basically, everyone should just drop it, move on.
The whole thing that this tape shows he didn't kill himself is like a joke. But worse than that, it's a joke that we all get. Like, they're not fooling anybody. So I feel like we're at a dangerous point now.
So now, by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just, you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office. I'm going to go throw up, actually. And this only happens every few years when something really, really bad happens.
What I'm about to show you is an actual court document filed in 2016. It accuses Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein of terrible acts against a 13-year-old girl. Look at this. So this girl was promised money and a modeling career to attend some parties in New York that were held at Epstein's residence. At least 4 of these parties were attended by Trump. And by the time of 1994, Donald Trump had known Epstein for at least 7 years. Here's a quote from Trump. "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy." Here's another quote from Trump talking about Epstein. "He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." Trump knew that this girl was just 13 years old. And here's where it gets terrible. Donald Trump initiated contact with the plaintiff at 4 parties, and on the 4th and final encounter with Trump, Trump tied her to a bed, exposed himself to her, and proceeded to forcibly rape her. During the course with his savage act, the plaintiff loudly begged Trump to stop, but with no effect. Donald Trump responded by striking this girl in the face with his open hand and screaming that he would do whatever he wants. And you guys can read all of this, but I'm going to finish off here. Immediately following this rape, Donald Trump threatened the plaintiff that if she ever revealed this to anybody, he would have her family killed. Look at this. Read this whole thing if you want to. It's absolutely terrible. Unfortunately, this case was later dropped, but not because what happened wasn't true, because Donald Trump threatened this girl's life and her family's lives. And this isn't fake, this is an actual court filing. I think we all know why this has gotten so little attention. Ask yourself why the same people screaming "protect children" are supporting this guy.
This was your brother, and just so everybody knows,
the MAGA media is in full revolt over the Trump, DOJ, and FBI's claim that Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself, did not have a client list, and Donald Trump is not at all defensive if you ask him about it. Let's watch.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
I didn't take any of this too seriously. Donald Trump, just then, like the defensiveness in his voice, it's the first thing that's made me think,
Hi, I wanted to bring something to your attention. I know you probably have heard by now that President Trump, yesterday during his cabinet meeting, when a reporter asked the Attorney General Pam Bundy about the Epstein files, President Trump stopped the reporter immediately and he says, "Why are you still talking about Epstein?" And he totally blew it off as if the Epstein files were nothing. And he started talking about something else. Now, the thing about that that's so strange is that Democrats blamed him for the flood in Texas. They blamed him and said the National Weather Service didn't have enough people. They blame him for everything that happens. They blame him for illegal immigration. That's all of the people that are here. They blame him for ICE arresting criminal illegal immigrants. But guess what? They have not blamed him one bit for not releasing the Epstein files. Isn't that strange? I want to know, where is Hillary Clinton? She always has something to say. Barack Obama, he always has something to say. Where are all of these people that always are complaining about President Donald Trump? This is the first time that they are totally silent about President Donald Trump. And I want everybody to start talking about it. Why aren't Democrats talking about Donald Trump and the DOJ releasing the Epstein files? Why aren't they upset about that? They should be as upset about the Epstein files being secretive as they are, or even more so them saying that they don't exist. They should really be in an uproar. I would love to see all of the Democrats upset that they are now saying that the Epstein files are don't exist. I think it's really strange that they're not upset about that when they blame him for everything else that happens in the whole country. I don't care where it is or what it is. So anyway, I want you to think about that and talk about that. Where are the Democrats today? Why didn't they say something? Why haven't they said something about the Epstein files? Why aren't they as upset as most of the people that I've heard that were upset with Trump supporters because we feel like that our DOJ is hiding something from us, something that they promised us? I just want you to think about it and talk about it. Let me know what you think.
I voted for Donald Trump in 2016, 2020,
a serious conversation, y'all. At this point, social media, everything available to us to do research with, it's not hard to figure out what's going on in our society. The Pam Bondi, Cash Patel, Dan Bongino, Epstein files, things that we've been going through over the last 24 hours have just made me make a decision to make this video and just come out and let everybody know what's really going on. I know that you guys already know this. It's impossible to not know it at this point. But there's no longer I don't believe anyways, a race car driver issue in this country like there was in the 60s. Now it's class warfare. They control us by taxes. They control us by insurance regulations. They control us by medication regulations. You can't even go from one doctor to the other without having a referral from the other doctor to another doctor. Someone explain that to me. So we're talking about the elites versus the non-elites. The reason why we're not getting this Jeffrey Epstein stuff is because the super elites, I'm talking about the highest of the high, the people that got the hundreds of billions of dollars in this world, right? And make no bones about it, we do live in a one world order. There is 1% of everyone in the world that controls every single thing that we do, right? It's rules for thee and not for we, right? So these people are saying, you get to pick who you want to upset. Do you want to upset the people that have all of the money in the world, that can give people tens and tens and tens of millions of things to make your life terrible if you release these things? Or do you want to make happy the non-elites down here that are just bitching and complaining about wanting to see this, wanting the drama from this list? So you pick your poison. You want to pick somebody who can actually do something about it, or you want to upset somebody who just might say a couple bad words on social media? Keep that.
Okay, everybody, breaking news. The Trump administration has said Epstein killed.
Hi, I'd like to address just one question that's floating around social.
Jeffrey Epstein client list exists and was confirmed yesterday by a famous Hollywood celebrity. My neighbor, my famous Hollywood celebrity neighbor, confirmed.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but shouldn't Ghislaine Maxwell be getting released from prison now? Because maybe I...
Hey, bitch. So I saw a creator say, he made a video, and he said, who did Epstein work for? And I was like, who did Epstein work for? Let's find out. His notable clients include Leslie Wexner, founder of L Brands, which owns Victoria's Secret. Let's get into him first. Leslie Wexner is an American billionaire businessman and philanthropist, primarily known for the founder of L Brands, a retail empire that included popular brands like Victoria's Secret and Bath & Body Works. Philanthropy, I can't say it with my braces, sorry. Wexner's family are known for their philanthropic efforts, particularly for Wexner Foundation, which focuses on developing Jewish professionals and volunteer leaders, as well as public leaders in Israel. They also have made significant donations to educational cultural institutions, including Ohio State Wexner Medical Center and Wexner Center of the Arts in Ohio State. But the main part is Israel. The other person is Leon Black, former CEO of Apollo Global Management. Let's see who he is. Leon Black and the Deborah and Leon Black Family Foundation have donated to organizations that support Israel. They have made grants to Birthright Israel, an organization that offers free trips to Israel for young Jewish adults, and to Friends of the Israel Defense Forces, FIDF, an organization that provides support for Israel soldiers. Now let's talk about what other ties Epstein had to Israel. In 2015, Epstein invested in an Israeli technology startup called Carbine, formerly reported Homeland Security. Carbine is connected to Israel's defense industry and was headed by former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. And then Epstein's name was also mentioned in connection with a lawsuit filed against him, where it stated that he provided funds to the Wexner Foundation, that guy, an organization that advanced leadership and excellence in Israel and among North American Jews. Here's why this is so fucking interesting. The news that there was no client list for the Epstein files was released on July 7th. On July 7th, Bibi Netanyahu nominated Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. And Bondi, we don't fucking need you. We can figure this shit out ourselves. Now, Pam, let's get into you because no one else wants to fucking get into you. Pam Bondi's political endorsements and alliances. The Israeli American Civic Action Network, ICANN, proudly supported Pam Bondi's nomination to Attorney General of the United States. And as we know, she has a very pro-Israel stance and stands by Trump with that, and is quick to support anyone who's pro-Palestinian or anti-Israel. Hoes, we see here. We fucking see here. Bibi on the list? Is he there? I bet he is. But remember the date that
I can't believe I'm the only person who's talking about this, but this video at one point is on a loop and it's obvious. So this guard getting on shift at like midnight, he's going into the room. He tried to pick up the phone, but nobody like buzzed him in. So then he gets into his pocket and he pulls out some keys and he unlocks the door manually. Now this is just for context. The loop actually happened 6 hours later. About 10 minutes after the hoodie person goes into the little locker room area, this guy comes up clearly to have some sort of a break. Now, like earlier, he picked up the phone and he was waiting to be buzzed in. And now he's just standing there waiting and waiting and waiting. He's standing still for almost a good minute. So much to the point where I'm like, is he frozen? But then if you look at the bag in his hands, it's still moving. But this is more suspicious, and I'll show you how. But before I do that, I want you to notice, he's still standing very perfectly still. Remember before when I showed you he got his keys out and just unlocked the door? So why isn't he doing that now? Does he not have his keys on him? Still standing still, by the way. Don't know how anybody else didn't find that suspicious as hell. And it's wild that nobody else caught this yet, because look at him. He's still standing still. This is clearly some sort of a loop or a freeze frame, and again, I'll show you in a second. But he picks up the phone to try and, have someone buzz him in again. And then while he's waiting, he decides to play with the trash and throw out, like, maybe his gum or something. But where did his keys go? He used them earlier to get in. All right, now pay attention. At 4:48, he goes and picks up that phone, right? Now watch very closely the bag and the telephone cord. Right here is where we see the loop get interactive. They're still just moving in that little same pattern over and over and over again. That's a loop. We've all seen it in heist movies. It wouldn't still be moving like that. And he's not even moving. So it's clearly like a couple seconds of the frame that has been put into a loop. And do we really think it's a coincidence that 25 seconds after he finally gets let in that door is when hoodie person comes back out? And there are a whole lot of things that are pointing to a guard being involved. And I've been going through over a lot of the information that's been released in the past, and I've never had a real reason to deep dive Jeffrey Epstein before. But the more and more I look into it, the more it absolutely was a guard who did it. Honestly, we need to find out who this woman is so that we can figure out why she has never been mentioned before. I can't believe I'm the only person who's talking about this, but this video at one point is on a loop and it's obvious. So this guard getting on shift at like midnight, he's going into the room. He tried to pick up the phone, but nobody like buzzed him in. So then he gets into his pocket and he pulls out some keys and he unlocks the door manually. Now this is just for context. The loop actually happened 6 hours later. About 10 minutes after the hoodie person goes into the little locker room area, this guy comes up clearly to have some sort of a break. Now like earlier, he picked up the phone and he was waiting to be buzzed in. And now he's just standing there waiting and waiting and waiting. He's standing still for almost a good minute. So much to the point where I'm like, is he frozen? But then if you look at the bag in his hands, it's still moving. But there's more suspicious, and I'll show you how. But before I do that, I want you to notice, he's still standing very perfectly still. Remember before when I showed you he got his keys out and just unlocked the door? So why isn't he doing that now? Does he not have his keys on him? Still standing still, by the way. Don't know how anybody else didn't find that suspicious as hell. And it's wild that nobody else caught this yet, because look at him. He's still standing still. This is clearly some sort of a loop or a freeze frame. And again, I'll show you in a second. But he picks up the...
So there's no Epstein list, right? Just like January the 6th wasn't a violent insurrection. It was just a peaceful protest. Just like he'd have the price of groceries and gas down on the first day. Just like he'd have the war in Ukraine ended the first 3 months in office. Just like those facilities down in the Everglades and El Salvador. Those are not detention centers. Those are just temporary holding facilities. Just like he wasn't going to touch Medicaid. You see, we've been trained to believe the exact opposite of whatever he says because he lies constantly. I think the MAGAs and the liberals would agree on this issue. We'd like to see who's on that list. If it's prominent Democrats, then so be it. We need to know who the scumbags are. And I'm betting there are some prominent Republicans on that list too. I mean, we see Republicans getting arrested every day. I feature their mugshots on my pages. Republicans, so-called Christians, conservatives, MAGAs, being arrested for horrific crimes against kids. If that's going on, we need to know about it. But we won't, because I'm betting that he is on that list. If he has, we need to know about that, but we won't, because he's being protected. He's a loathsome, despicable person being protected by loathsome, despicable people. They may rig the system so that he can't be prosecuted, but you know what? Karma, God, cosmic justice, something is going to come along and balance the scales, and I can't wait.
The truth is yet seen. Born 1953 in Brooklyn, Jeffrey Epstein. As a kid, numbers had his interest. He excelled in math and physics. As far as academics, he was skipped twice. Wise moves. He went on to be a teacher at a high school. This where things hit lower when left. He often wore open shirts exposing his chest. He constantly got wrote up every day, bruh, for inappropriate behavior. He was fired, they trashed him. But through students, he built rapport with powerful parents like Ace Greenberg, shrewdness, ambition. Ace hired him as his junior assistant. From there, he advanced and would learn. Years later, started his own management firm. Mission was fast, yes. He refused to take clients who ain't have $1 billion in assets. His financial strength would then rise. He'll build political ties. Never know what could come forward. One day, might have to use your trump card. And man, that's exactly what happened. 14-year-old girl confessed Jeff molested her in his mansion. He indulged in some sick things. Most of his victims age range 13 to 16. But I don't understand it. Although he was caught red-handed, man, it's crazy because listen, through power and influence, he still manipulated the system. A slap in the face to the underage victims. Because instead of going to prison, his lawyer worked out a deal where he served only 13 months in a private wing of a county jail. Able to leave out as he may. 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. Nah, it's definitely wild. And info on his co-conspirators lost and never was found. After all the stuff he did, like his private island, I guess that's just water under a bridge. Man, that's a lot, let's pray. But God has the final say. 2019, July, bro. He's arrested on federal charges for trafficking minors. What's sealed is about to be unsealed. Dark secrets about to be revealed. But it was never revealed. Before trial even started, he was found in his cell. The truth is yet seen. Born 1953 in Brooklyn, Jeffrey Epstein. As a kid, numbers had his interest.
Y'all hit the like and subscribe button.